Greetings friends, Jawlesspaul here. I wanted to make a little video talking about the hexes of Selene and maybe rank them with the tier maker here and just talk about the different mechanics there and what I think about them and what I go for when I'm looking for Selene, because I think Selene is extremely important, very, very useful additional tool for you to have in your arsenal. So should go for those Selene boons, those Selene hexes, I should say. I've talked a little bit about Selene in other videos, so I'm not going to go over all this stuff. Sorry for all the advertisements. I have ad block, but it's just, yeah, man, the Hades wiki is persistent. You get your moon glow, which determines whether or not you get bonus choices in the path of stars on your next moonbeam, or sorry, your next Selene boon pack or whatever. You can get duo boons, and then they correspond with that. So I'll talk about with each of the different gifts, each of the different hexes, the duo that goes with it. So we'll start with phase shift. Phase shift is the hex that makes everything else move slower for 4 seconds. This one, I like it a lot. Just the base effect that everything moves slower. You're able to get a lot of attacks off. You're able to position yourself very easily. So it both combines you having extra damage per second, and then also giving you a chance to get to safety. And so it's a offensive and defensive hex in my opinion. And then the God Scent is with Demeter, and it makes enemies take 20 damage every 0.2 seconds. So it's 100 damage a second. And then if you've got all of your bonuses, and any of your damage bonuses will also increase that. So it ends up being quite a bit of damage, and it's everything on the screen. There are quite a few different things that you can get here, charging up automatically. I'm not going to talk about a lot of these. A lot of these are kind of basic. You know exactly what they mean. But then some of these blue ones are really important. Does this one have a lot? Moving and striking 30% faster is really nice. I don't really care for a lot of these other ones. Precision is great. Obviously, crit is always really good. Crit is 3x damage in this game, so it's quite good. And then this one makes everything move 75% slower. It's significantly slower, so which is nice. But anything that increases the duration of this, the lineage one is, or sorry, the patience one, that's going to be really, really nice. So all foes taking 0.2 damage per second. This one I feel like is easily in S tier. We're starting with a hot one, but I really think that this one deserves S tier. It's so powerful to be able to slow time, and then with the Demeter stuff, like it slows enemies down even more by chilling them, and then they're just taking a bunch of damage. So really, really great one. I like this one a lot. Twilight Curse. Your hex launches a seeking projectile that inflicts morph on up to 5 unsuspecting foes, or susceptible foes, I should say. So I typically think of these hexes a lot of times because of the way that hexes work. You have to use a bunch of mana in order to use the curse. This one doesn't feel, it feels a little bit awkward, the core effect where you just morph enemies. It doesn't do a lot of damage to them. I think it does a little bit, just like a tiny amount, but it then morphs them to a little animal, and that's fine. But a lot of times I've already killed everything on the screen by the time I've used enough mana to actually use this. Now it is a lower amount, it's 40 mana. But yeah, the base effect, not a huge fan of. The God Scent, where Zeus fires lightning bolts around it. It does 80 damage near the shot. It doesn't say how often it does, but it's pretty quick. So with the Zeus duo, it does a bit more damage and makes a little bit more sense because you can use it in boss fights, and it'll actually, because it won't affect guardians or what's that other type, the big type of enemies that you get. So it doesn't affect everything. You can make it deal additional damage to guardians. You can make it create a blast when a morph afflicted foe is slain. It has a chance to lose, or sorry, it can bounce even more. There was one, I thought there was one that makes it, yeah, so there's one that makes it so there's a little bit of health left behind that you can pick up that restores some health. So that's kind of a nice one if you can get it. And then it also inflicts every curse you can inflict using other abilities, which is nice. So there's some other nice things there. I just feel like with how it's supposed to hit a bunch of enemies, it's hard for that to happen unless you've got something that gives you, that makes it so it's charged up really, really fast, right? Otherwise, you're just going to kill everything and then not use the hex. So, and then the duo with Zeus makes it a little bit better for boss fights, I guess. However, I kind of feel meh about this one. Okay, next one is Lunar Ray. Lunar Ray. You fire a beam that deals up to 800 damage over 2 seconds. That doesn't seem like a whole lot, and the beam is very narrow. This one, ready after 30 mana used. It's got some good bonuses, actually some great bonuses. This is where Lunar Ray becomes very, very good. Because let me tell you, Lunar Ray is actually extremely strong. This was one of the ones that I kind of slept on for a long time. But the duo with Apollo, it says, let's see, what does it say? Your Hex can be Godsend, gives 500 additional power. So it is a lot more powerful. And one nice thing about this too is that if you choose Lunar Ray and then you find Apollo, you'll still be able to get the duo. It'll show up in the Path of Stars after you find Apollo, which is really, really nice. Yeah, but there's like all of these different bonuses, firing it longer, having additional power. There's a lot of these that add power every second that you fire it. This one is you set it and then you can walk away and it keeps firing from where you left it. It's pretty great. And then Trinity, so this is the combination right here. Trinity and Shine of Apollo. This is where you can get like over 10,000 damage with just like in like 2 seconds of firing the beams. So like it's awesome. This is like so much damage. It'll phase a boss no problem if you get real close to them, and so all the beams are hitting at the same time, right? You can shotgun it and do just a ton of damage. So I put this one in S tier too. We're kind of going hard on these high ranking ones. Next we have Wolf Howl. This is the one that you rise up and crash down for 200 damage. Godsent with Hephaestus. This one is sort of interesting. You can get bonus power on it. You can extra air damage to armor, move faster. I don't know. These don't seem all that amazing. The hex deals damage in a 50% larger area. That's really nice because when you land down, it seems sort of small. The circle that you're targeting with. This one where you deal damage right before when you rise up and when you crash down is sort of nice. Effective your rush boon on up to 5 foes. I don't know much about that one or how that one's useful. I haven't really tested it very much. I can imagine it would be all right? But I don't know. That doesn't really strike me as that amazing. And then you gain 20 armor that lasts for 3 seconds. It doesn't even stick around, which is kind of sad. Brutality, you use it one more time during the next 3 seconds, which, as you can imagine, makes sense. And then the Hand of Hephaestus makes it deal 800 damage where you land, in addition to the 200. So 1,000 damage wherever you land. So that, as you can imagine, that's a lot of damage. However, for me, this one feels a little bit hard to use. It's a little unwieldy just because you have to fire it off and it's so small. So you really need to like buff it a lot, get that larger area to make it great, in my opinion. Once again, as you all know, this is all in my opinion, right? Like this is just how I play. If this isn't how you would rank these, that's just fine. And I welcome any thoughts or criticisms. If you love some of these, boy, I would love to get some new ideas for how to use these. Moonwater, Hex restores 15 health up to 3 times, which resets whenever you use a fountain. So the way this works is you can use it and then when you get to 0, you can no longer use it. Even if you charge up the mana, it doesn't do anything. But whenever you use a fountain, it refills it to 3. This is okay, right? And you can save it up for the boss, which is okay. And you can buff it, make it so you get 15 gold, 10 more life, And, you know, if you get a whole bunch of these, so you're like getting a whole lot of health back, that's really great. The duo with Poseidon makes you restore 4 health and 50 mana every second for 10 seconds. That's great, right? That's a nice heal. Although it's only 40 health at the end of the day. Doesn't feel like that much. So it's got a bunch of different things here that you can do. Restoring health that I lost in the last 2 seconds. You deal bonus damage, fountains. So this one is interesting. Using fountains grants you +3 uses of your hex, even if you still have uses left. This is great if you are trying to beat that next boss and it's been a real struggle. You can get moon water and conservation and then just enter the fight with, like, I don't know, 15 heals or something if you grabbed all of the fountains and never used it once. Right, it's great. And then this one makes you impervious, which is nice. Omega moves rapidly restore mana, and it does your after you take damage effects. These are both kind of weird in my opinion. And then this fires your Omega cast with 100% chance to deal critical damage. These all seem really weird to me. Like adding damage to it somehow just feels a little bit weird. I haven't seen that used effectively, at least for me. I haven't used it effectively. So I don't know about this one. I also put this in B, maybe because I just don't know what else to do with it. Here's the problem in my mind. The healing is not completely insignificant. You can get it to be good, and especially with the Poseidon duo, it's a decent amount of health. But usually when I'm dying to lots of big hits very fast. Like if I'm in a boss fight and they're doing damage to me, typically they're not just dealing it out slowly. Like sure, I can start it and then run away and try to just run away for 10 seconds while it heals me up. But I often need a big burst of healing right now. And this doesn't exactly do that unless you like get all of the right things to make it deal or make it heal you even more. And I understand like healing is a very premium a very premium thing. So it does feel good sometimes to have it, but I don't typically take moon water. It doesn't exactly do the thing that I want a hex to do for me. So that's how I feel about that one. Next one is Night Bloom. Your hex raises the last susceptible foe slain. Last susceptible foe slain to fight for you for 12 seconds after 60 mana. The god sent is Hera. Your servant is 25% faster. It has 30% critical chance. This is one that I've used a few times. I don't seem to notice a huge thing from this, and maybe I'm completely misguided here, and I've heard like rumblings about like minion builds that are awesome with this, but I find it really difficult. Like a lot of times I'll use this and it raises like an eyeball to fight for me, and the eyeball, as you can imagine, doesn't do much, especially, you know, even with it being 25% faster and 30% critical chance, it just doesn't do much. So I will ignore this one most of the time because I don't really care about a minion rising up to fight with me. You can buff up the minion quite a bit. I wonder, I have this suspicion that there's a way to make it really, really strong. The other problem is that a lot of boss fights do not have minions, or if they have them, they get them like late or something. Although that's not, I don't know if that's exactly true. Like Prometheus is the one I was thinking that doesn't have one. Like Scylla and the Sirens don't have a lot of minions that come, but there's like maybe fewer minions to choose from. You can make them last forever. You can make them gain after you take damage effects. They move and attack faster. The thing that I've never really felt like is that they take any heat away from me, right? Like they're not like a defensive thing. Enemies don't exactly fight the raised minion. They still will just attack you and ignore the raised minion. But yeah, you can kind of buff them up so they do a decent amount of damage. I think that's pretty nice. But yeah, this one I will almost always ignore because the other effects just seem better to me. I believe I have this ranked at a C. It's the only one in the C. Sorry. And boy, this is one that I would love to be wrong about. I would love for people to jump in and say, you are an idiot. This is the best one, right? That would be so cool. All right. I welcome it. I've never seen it. I've never seen it work for me. All right. Total Eclipse. The Hex blasts a large area for 1,000 damage after 4 seconds. And this one takes a lot. You have to wait for 90 mana. The God sent is Hestia. You rapidly inflict Scorch on all foes until the blast. And it goes, this Scorch goes above 999. Usually you're only able to get up to 999 Scorch on an enemy. This one lets you go above that, which is kind of cool. But it's basically like a giant meteor falls from the sky and makes a giant crater. It's a really cool effect, I think. Your Hex starts 40% charge, has more power, larger area. Your Hex, if it strikes the guard, your next Hex charges up by 30 mana. Your Hex has 3 smaller blasts. These are all really good. After using your Hex, foes in the target area move slower, so they can't get out, right? Like, if they get into your Hex area, it's sort of like they're in your cast, or they get sort of rooted a little bit. Foes in your target area take plus 30% damage. And then these purple ones, they get an extra moon blast after the second one, 2 seconds after the second one. After the first one, I mean. Your Hex creates a Omega cast in the area after the blast, and you gain 50 armor until the blast. These all can be nice. This is the only one that I really ever go for. Like, I don't usually care about, like, sometimes I have a really good Omega cast, but a lot of times I don't. Like, I don't build around Omega cast all that often. And 50 armor that lasts until the blast is fine. The only thing about this one that I don't like is it can be a little bit hard to aim, but if you get, like, it's, once again, it's that, like, you're aiming with the controller and moving this, like, target reticule, but it is huge. It's like, it's quite massive, but you can whiff it. Like, I whiff it a lot. But you can get it to be larger with vastness. If you get this one where they're slower, it makes it easier because they stay in the target area. But enemies don't, like, avoid it or anything. They'll stay right in there. Let's see. I think I have this one at an A. Yeah, I like this one. It's good. I mean, it's inflicting a ton of Scorch, which always is nice. Like, Scorch just feels really, really good. And if you have something like Pyrotechnique, it's doing damage very, very quickly. It's awesome. All right. The penultimate one. We're almost to the end here. Dark Side. Your Hex turns you into an impervious living nightmare with her own abilities for 5 seconds. Ready after 110 mana. God sent is Aphrodite, which makes it so you create heartthrobs while you're there, and they do 80 damage. You continually create heartthrobs while you're in dark mode. The biggest problem with dark mode is that you lose a lot of your damage. Like, it's hard. It feels like it's harder to deal good damage when you're in dark side mode. However, you are impervious. So this one is, like, primarily defensive in my mind. I use this in boss fights all the time. Like, I love this one in boss fights. It keeps me alive during some of those, because there are some attacks, like, especially from like Typhon or Kronos, where it's like a bunch of stuff is happening all at once, and wouldn't it be nice to just be impervious for 4 seconds? When is it not nice? But or 5 seconds, 5 seconds, and that is an awesome thing. So even if you're missing out on a lot of damage, but you're weathering that horrible damage storm. Like, we all know the attacks that Typhon does, that Kronos does, that's just horrible. So being able to get out of that is great. This one, you can make your attack faster, you can make your cast deal more damage. So this is interesting. Your cast is unaffected. You can still use, like, if you've got a cast build with Darkside, that's awesome, right? Because you got most of your damage still. Like, I think I had that, what's that one where your fireballs are more powerful, the duo between Hestia and Ares, I think. And I had all of my damage. I was just using my cast as often as I could and just getting tons and tons of damage out on enemies. And I was impervious at the same time. So a lot of the downsides of switching to dark mode weren't there. Defiance is fully recharged. Lately, I've been playing mostly on strength, so I don't feel like all this Death Defiance stuff doesn't help me as much. Specials deal critical damage to distant foes, so it's like that big circle that comes out, and if it hits something at its maximum or far away, it does critical damage. During your hex, your casts is the same effect as your Omega cast. That's really cool, especially if you have a cast build, right? So it kind of builds around that a little bit. During your hex, your attack gains the bonuses of your attack boon. That is really nice, especially if you have something like Scorch, or something where like a fast, because your attack is really, really fast. Splendor. During your hex, your special gains the bonuses of your special boon. And yeah, that's nice too. But really, like, Allure of Aphrodite gives you a decent amount of extra damage on top of the crappy damage that you're doing with your attack and special. So if you're an attack and special based build, it sort of stinks unless you can get some of these other ones. But really, this is all about being impervious for however many seconds. It's so awesome. So I think I put this in A. Let me double check that. Let me double check that it's an A. Oh yeah, A for sure. Okay. And our last one is Selene's. So Selene is, if you don't know, Selene is the coat that you can get. And so this one is only available to you if you're wearing Selene's coat, and it's automatically there when you use Selene's weapon. You inflict shine, deals 50 damage to random surrounding foes 8 times, ready after using 60 mana. This is not about having 60 mana reserved, by the way. I had someone ask me a question about this, that I keep getting more mana, but it never turns on. And I'm like, well, you have to use the mana in order for it to have to work. So, and then the Godsent is Ares. So you'll only see the Ares duo if you wear Selene's coat, which is kind of unique. Lance of Ares, your hex can be Godsent. You inflict wounds with each hit from the effect. That's awesome. So wounds wounds gives you bonus damage, and it also, the first hit of wounds is like, has additional power. So basically just makes those moonfalls more powerful. This one's really solid. You can find things like ferocity, which makes it way stronger against bosses, right? Because it's hitting the same enemy over and over again. You can get it so you take less damage. I mean, these are all really great, or more damage to bosses. So a lot of focus here on bosses. Whenever you use Omega moves, 1 random nearby foe is struck by the effect of your hex, which is interesting. So is that during the hex, or is that, oh, that's whenever? So that's kind of interesting. I don't think I've ever gotten Cascade now that I look at it. But anyway, that's really good. You use Omega moves and it just fires it. And then your hex also strikes 2 + 2 foes each time. So it fires 3 instead of just the one little beam. This one is great. I like this a lot. I'd say this goes in A tier, right? And it's limited because it's only for Selene's coat, and so you always get it if you have Selene's coat. It's not like we're comparing it to the other ones, because it's not like you have this one as an option. But I like it a lot. It's one of the reasons why I think Selene's coat is pretty okay. It's pretty decent, but that's gonna do it. That's it. This is the list. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Do you have a completely different lineup of your Selene boons? What would you rank each of them? And what are some of the mechanics that I've maybe overlooked? I'm really keen to hear your thoughts about these hexes. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.